Good day, sir. My name is John Allen Piagnes, base Cream 2. We will talk all about Chapter 3, Filipino Nationalism. What is Filipino nationalism? Nationalism is nourished by a sense of history. It is of its essence to know as profoundly the past, so that we may be in a complete openness with the men who made that history and its intimate communion with their thoughts, their deeds, and their noble lives. With Claro M. Recto Jr. Filipino nationalism started in the Philippines in the 18th century, which is an upsurge of a patriotic feelings and nationalistic ideas resulting from more than 2 decades of Spanish rule. This this served as the backbone of and continues to this day. The first nationalist revolution in Asia, the Philippine Revolution of 1896, Juwaks in 1990. These nationalistic feelings have resulted to a comprehensive campaign in the Philippines for political, social, and economic liberty. And the next is historical background of Filipinos nationalism. The Philippines had been split into various principles known as barangays. In the years before the 11th century, a name originating from a Malayan ships called balangays. Datos, Rahus, or Sultans governed these tiny political units. Halili in 2004, in 1565, when Spanish explorer Miguel Lopez de Legazpi arrived from Mexico and established the first European colonies in Cebu. European colonization started in earnest, starting with only 5 ships and 500 men, accompanied by Augustinians, monkeys, and further strengthened by 200 soldiers in 1567. He was able to repel competing Portuguese colonizers and laid the foundation for the Spanish colonization of the archipelago. The Spanish occupied the kingdoms of Manila and Tondo in 1571 and founded Manila as the capital of the Spanish East Indies Coronlandsky in 1990. This Spanish colonization united the archipelago of the Philippines into one political unit. And the next is the beginning of Filipino nationalism. What is the beginning of Filipino nationalism? Originally, the word Filipino referred to the Philippine Spanish Criollos. The Spanish leaders described the natives as an Indians during in their 333 years rule over the Philippines, Royeca in 2012. The Spaniards born in the Philippines, more known as Insulars Criollos or Criollis, were also called Filipinos. During the colonial era as well, Spanish-born Spaniards or Philippine-based continental Spaniards were referred to as Peninsulars. Those of blended heritage have been called mestizos. Despite or being considered inferior by the Peninsulars, the Creoles had enjoyed numerous rules of state and church, and composed most of the bureaucracy of government. The feeling of domestic awareness originated from the Creoles who now consider themselves Filipino. 3 significant factors: economy, education, and parish secularization brought into its emergency. This factor led to the Filipino nationalism birth, the Philippines opening to global or world trade, the increase of the upper class, and the influx of Europe's liberal through were just a few instances of how the Filipino becomes a stable nation. The first manifestation of Philippines nationalism followed in the 1880 century and 1990 century with the reform of propaganda movement carried out both in Spain and the Philippines, with the aim of propagandizing the circumstances of the Philippines in the hopes that the social, political, and financial life of the Philippines would be changed by a peaceful means. History of the Philippines Revolution in 2015. The next is other concept of the Filipino nationalism. What is that? Uh, that is the nationalism in the circular identification and engagement of our people with the Filipino nation and domestic community, the Philippines as our country and homeland. It goes beyond our family clan, tribe, village, city, province, religion, local culture, and religion. First and foremost, it is being pro-Filipino, believing that we belong to mind, soul, and spirit. It is a pride to be a Filipino, self-respect as a Filipino, pride in our national cultural heritage and manner of life. Manner of life. With their constraints being realized, it involves pride in our heroes, pride in our flags, national and idem than other symbols of our nationalhood. National pride and dignity is inspired by the willingness to serve our nation along and with dedication and so sacrifice for it. It is necessary with our own lives. It is a tool of change and reform. It aims our moral, spiritual regeneration, our liberation from ignorance, bigotry, and intolerance towards those who hold distinct views of themselves. Particularism, narrow-mindedness, feudalism, a system in which higher-ranking individuals give land and protection and work and vote for them in exchange. Colonial mentality, the internalized attitude of the Filipino raising or culture. Culture. Uh, Culture inferior as a consequence of colonization, verbally and distorted elitism, verbally and elitism, an elite's advocacy and prevent is a dominant component and scheme or community. In other words, as Filipino has a powerful national identity, sent and a high-minded intent. And the next is Filipino national identity based in part on our indigenous values. Letter A is pagsasarili, self-reliance in English. And number 2 ay letter B ang pagkikisama, equitable sharing and partnership in English. Letter C is pagkabayani, patriotism in English. And letter D is pagkakaisa or national unity, national consensus and discipline. And letter E is pagkikitungo, like consideration. And letter F is pagkikipagkapwa-tao, human solidarity based first of all developing our nation. And the last one is letter G, pagkakabantay-pantay or equality and equity. And next is the different ways to show Filipino sense of nationalism. Filipinos had already shown their own way of nationalism in the Spanish colonial period. Some fought with their pens and tongues while others used their arms and weapons. Authority, everyone had their own ways of showing our country their love and respect. Some even died and were able to get back our country's freedom that we enjoy nowadays. But have we ever noticed how some Filipinos demonstrate their feeling of nationalism nowadays? You could read some thought in this portion about how some Filipinos show our nation their nationalism. To show our sense in Filipino nationalism, everyone must work, act, participate, stand proud, or love. Let us work our own act today and participate in our government. Respect everyone, including others' rights. Stand proud for you. You are love everyone as how you respect the world like you back. And number 1, the next is respect the Philippines flag of the value of Filipino identity. Being Filipinos, we should respect our Philippine flag and its purpose. The history of value of the flag are connected to the freedom we have today. Encourage our fellow men to participate and respect our flag, its anthem, and even our different symbols. They provide us our identity as Filipino or citizen of the beautiful Republic of the Philippines. And number two is be productive. What is productive? Do not rely on everything and then blame our government. But instead, make sure you're productive and helpful to the nation because some of the Filipinos are blaming the government for any adverse things our nation would strike. True. True. True, there are some corrupt political positions holders, but they are not all. The only issue here is that we rely too much on our government, then blame them afterwards. We should learn to stand on our feet and be productive and helpful not only for ourselves but also for everyone. And number three is be aware of issue in our country. We must be aware of update of the significant issues happenings in our country, extend help to the need fellow men, especially the victim of disasters like typhoons, flooding, and like. Naturally, all of us use media in our daily life. We could already demonstrate our nationalism to our nation by using the media. Some of our fellow Filipinos use the authority of the press to extend their assistance to others in the past calamities that this nation. They publish some data about other individuals might be able to assist disaster effect individuals. Number four is stand proud for very achievement. Filipinos are competitive in many ways around the world. They are proud to be Philippines and to be brought for the nation for towards for their accomplishment. The unite every Filipino we can be proud. Filipino like Manny Pacquiao, the football team of Askal, the basketball team of Gilas Pilipinas, and many more. Number five is patronize and support our own products. The Philippines has rich resources to create quality goods and products the manpower service. We 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 provide all are also globally competitive. Our economy will improve more if we ourselves patronize our own products, which characterize our creativity, resourcefulness, and industry. In spite of Filipinos' migration all over the globe, the nationalism is also self-evident. Millions Filipinos now support goods and products made by the Philippines outside in the Philippines. Everything has feasible with the emergence of the world economy based on information driven by a free trade market economy and open capital markets. The Philippines products live up to the standards of quality and also modesty. Preserve the Filipino cultures. Number 6. Philippines is rich of various colorful cultural elements. They are our identity. Be proud and preserve the cultures we have. For they are our treasure, we have to keep them to future generation. Migrant Filipinos who have participatively grown most of their life overseas almost always return to the Philippines to explore our lovely beaches and feature attraction. A nation with 7,107 island offers Filipinos maintains periodic or TFC, the Filipinos channel subscription to get the contact with every Filipinos. Forget about homesickness while overseas and instill the Filipinos values that we see on their television. And number 7 is respect everyone and values our traditions. Filipinos are very conscious and respectful. We will acknowledge a Filipino's individual everywhere you go because he or she has always been respectful of the elders and other using the common but certainly classic hu, ahu, po, and opo. Uho and opo. Even in the modern times, many Filipinos shall values their noble norms and traditions. Also, although Filipinos overseas have held themselves as the peak of their interest in the prism of their domestic eloquency with a passionate approach to political, social, economic liberty. Filipinos may have plurality in terms of divided island language, religion, and ethnicity, but they shared a common country, love and vision for a better Philippines. And number 8 is speak out our own language. Using our own language is the means feasting and preserving our national identity. It is our unique means of communication and interacting with our fellow men. Our language is an important tool to achieve further unity and national development. And number nine is remember how the commemorate our heroes who sacrificed for our country. There were many Filipinos who died for our democracy, freedom, and independence. Some fought using their pens and tongues, while some used the power of their arms and weapons. Each had their own way to showing their love and respect to our country. In today's generation, let us value the treasured our heroes' sacrifice devotion of the country. And number 10 is love our family, our neighbors, and our countrymen. The essence of their life for most Filipinos is to create their family, a nation, a part of their enduring engagement. They may even express their dedication, create their family and engage their even express their dedication to unpopular choices born to the advantage of the majority. We are strongly committed to our obligations. Filipinos create an all-out effort to work to make private sacrifices around the clock over the weekend. Hard work, these values combined with an abundant reservoir of the patient has been inculcated by our beloved parents to our youthful mind. And belief of Filipinos workers abroad in ideal evidence of human sacrifice for family, love, being away from the home and dealing with the problems of in a nation, no one, and risking yourself into many forbidding dangers or exploring, particularly when serving a well-formulated task of supporting our families necessities back home by sending remittance that in turn would help increase the economy of the nation and make it more financially stable through monetary asset. And the next is Philippine symbol that promote a sense of nation. Symbols are very, very important to people in quite a lot of countries, especially in the symbols are rel- related to the sense nationalism. The officially recognized the national symbols of the Philippines are number 1, the Philippine flag with red, white, and blue colors and yellow sun representing the province of our country. And number 2 is coat of arms of the Philippines, also featuring the yellow sun with 8 rays depicting the original province in the Philippines. And number 3 is Lupang Hinirang, the Philippine national anthem. And number 4 is Sambakita, the national flower of the Philippines, symbolizing purity and simplicity. The flower is small, white, and pleasantly fragrant. And number 5 is Anara, the national tree of the Philippines. The Philippines, also known as rosewood. It's strong, sturdy, and durable, a common rainforest tree. And number 6 is Philippine eagle. The Philippine national bird is an acknowledged known by several in guards with the Filipino eagles protected by the law in the country, and there is the extreme punishment for harm done to them. And number 7 is Dr. Jose Rizal, the national hero of the Philippines. Number 8 is Caronyosa or Tinikling, the Philippine national dance. Gracefulness is symbolized by the dance. And number 9 is Carabao, the Philippines or water buffalo, the Philippines national animal, is a symbolized industriousness and hard work due to its use on many farm in the country. Number 10 is bangus, milkfish, The Philippines national fish symbolize a fertility because of the many ways in which can be cooked. Number 11 is mango, the national fruit the Philippines. Mangoes are considered the sweetest fruit in the world. Number 12 is barong, the Philippine national costume or clothing style for men. Aktak or shirt of them fabrics displaying Chinese, Indo, and the Malayan tropical Hindu in the Philippines. For women, barot saya in the new color. And number 13 is Bayan Ko. And Pilipinas Kung Mahal are the Philippine national song. Number 14, Arnis, the Philippine national sport, stick fighting in English. Anahaw, Livostona discifolia, the Philippine national plants. The plant is often used as hat, umbrella, or fan symbolizing the Filipinos' resourcefulness. And number 16, the last one is Nipa hat, the Philippine national house, typically a small bamboo house with a top of roof. And that's all, sir, for 20 minutes video, and thank you. Have a good day. God bless.